You believe your world is unshakable, a sturdy home, a family, a routine that feels comfortable even amidst chaos. But everything shatters with a single sentence, spoken almost carelessly, with a cold smile on her lips. It's not just betrayal, it's laughter in the face of your principles, your love, your devotion. What does it feel like to hear words that scorch everything alive inside you, leaving only ashes and cold fury? What does it feel like to realize that the person you trusted until your last breath is willing to crush everything you built over the years for a fleeting thrill? And what will you do when the door to hell swings open before you, pushed by her hand without warning? Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started. People often say that trust is the cornerstone of marriage. For nearly a decade, I lived by that principle, pouring all of myself into my relationship with Lena, my wife, the mother of my children, the person I thought would stand beside me for life. Now, I'm left staring at the ruins of something I believed was unbreakable. The unraveling of our relationship didn't start with fights or outright deception. No, it began with a seemingly ordinary conversation, one that spiraled into chaos I never anticipated. One night, lying beside each other in bed, Lena turned to me with that familiar look, a mixture of nervous energy and firm intent. I immediately knew something was off. "Travis," she said slowly, her voice uncertain. "Martin and Julia invited us to something this weekend." I didn't look away from my phone. "Oh yeah? What kind of something?" I asked absently. There was a pause. She seemed to be summoning courage before she continued. "It's not your typical party," she said carefully. That got my attention. I looked over, a feeling of unease creeping in. "What does that mean?" I asked, bracing myself. "It's a swingers party." At first I laughed, assuming it was a joke, but her expression didn't change. "You're kidding," I said, sitting up straighter. "You're not serious." "I am," she replied, her voice more confident now. "We've been stuck in a routine, Travis. This could be something new, something exciting." I stared at her, trying to wrap my head around what she was suggesting. "Lena, do you hear yourself? You're talking about sleeping with other people." "It's not a big deal," she argued, folding her arms across her chest. "It's just supposed to be fun. Martin and Julia said it actually made their marriage stronger." "I don't care what it did for them," I snapped, my voice tight with disbelief. "That's not something I want any part of. End of story." But it wasn't the end. Not even close. Over the next several days, she kept bringing it up, slipping it into conversations when I least expected it. Whether I was loading the dishwasher or scrolling through my phone, she found moments to press the issue. "Just one night," she kept saying. "That's all I'm asking. Just try it." Her persistence didn't fade, it only intensified. By Thursday, she didn't bother trying to convince me anymore. As I was tucking our daughter Eliza into bed, she made her stance crystal clear. "I'm going," she said flatly. I followed her out to the living room, shutting the door behind me. "You're actually going?" I asked, my voice strained. "What about the kids?" "We'll get a sitter," she replied without emotion. "It's not a big deal." "It's a huge deal," I shot back. "Do you honestly think this will help our marriage?" "I do," she said, her words sharp. "You're always so rigid, Travis. Maybe if you loosened up, you'd see that this could be good for us." "Good for us?" I said, my voice rising. "You think me standing by while you sleep with someone else is going to fix things?" She rolled her eyes, the disdain in her gaze unmistakable. "You're being ridiculous." Anger welled up inside me, mixing with hurt in a way I'd never felt before. I looked her in the eyes and finally said what I'd been trying to avoid. "I'm not going. And if you do this, if you walk out that door, we're done. I'll file for divorce." Her eyes widened, but instead of backing down, she straightened her posture, doubling down. "You'd end our marriage over one night? Seriously?" "No," I replied coldly. "You're the one ending it by even suggesting this." She shook her head, clearly frustrated, and left the room. The silence that followed was suffocating. Divorce, a word that once felt distant and abstract, now hung in the air, thick and real. There was no coming back. The woman standing across from me wasn't the same person I had vowed to spend my life with. I didn't even recognize her anymore. Then, almost as if she sensed the storm inside me, her tone changed. There was a cruel edge to her voice now, taunting. "Oh, lighten up, Travis," she said with a smirk. "If you're that bothered, I'll record it for you. Maybe then you'll see it's not such a big deal." Her words struck like a blow. "You'd actually do that?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and disbelief. She shrugged like it meant nothing. "Why not? You could even watch it. Who knows? Maybe you'll get into it." I stared at her, stunned, speechless. What kind of person says something like that? And yet, beneath the raw emotion, something shifted in my mind. A calculated thought began to take form. Maybe I could use this. If she really went through with it and recorded herself, it would be irrefutable proof of betrayal. No more arguments, no more gray areas. The evidence would be damning. The courts would have no choice. She'd lose everything. Custody, the house, all of it. I took a steadying breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I couldn't let her see what I was thinking. Not yet. "Fine," I said at last, masking my true feelings. "If that's what you want, go ahead." Her eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering. "Just like that? No more shouting? No more threats?" I gave a casual shrug. "Maybe I'm just tired of fighting." She didn't say another word after that. But even though the conversation was over, the battle between us had only just begun. "If it really matters that much to you, then fine. Do what you feel you have to." That was all I could bring myself to say as I stood there, watching her. Her eyes met mine, steady, unreadable, before she gave a slow, deliberate nod. "All right. I'm going," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't need to worry about me, Travis. I know how to have a good time on my own." I didn't respond. There wasn't anything left to say. Without another word, she turned and walked out. The door shut with a soft but final click, and an eerie stillness settled over the room. That night, as I lay in bed, her words looped endlessly in my mind. Record the whole thing. I couldn't make sense of it. Not just that she was willing to be with someone else, but how casually she tossed the idea around, as if filming it made it somehow trivial. A joke. It wasn't just infidelity. It was audacious, cruel, unfeeling. If Lena was ready to cast aside everything we built for a night of reckless pleasure, then I was determined to ensure she carried the full weight of that decision. When the evening finally came, she looked stunning, dressed not like a wife going out for air, but like a woman headed to a date. Her black dress clung to her like it had been waiting for this exact moment. She slipped on heels I hadn't seen in ages and barely glanced my way as she reached for her purse. "I won't be back early," she said, voice light as a feather. "Don't forget your camera," I muttered, bitterness laced through the words like poison. She shot me a frigid glance but didn't dignify it with a response. And then she was gone. The second the door closed, I moved. I called my mom, and without giving her the full picture, asked if she could take Eliza and Brandon for the weekend. She didn't ask many questions. Within the hour, I'd packed their bags and dropped them off. Back at the house, I poured myself a strong drink and sank into the silence. My mind kept spinning, replaying the hours ahead of me, trying to prepare for what was coming. Anger and grief twisted inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. This wouldn't last forever. Tomorrow, I'd have what I needed. And then, I'd start cutting her out of my life. Lena came home just after 10 the next morning. Her hair was a mess, makeup smudged beyond recognition, her dress wrinkled like it had been slept in. Yet she walked into the kitchen with a self-satisfied smirk, like nothing had happened at all. "So," she said, arching one eyebrow. I stared at her, my face unreadable. "So what?" She let out a short laugh, then pulled her phone from her bag like a magician revealing a trick. "I told you I'd film it," she said, holding it up like some kind of prize. "There. Now you can stop acting like it's a big deal." It didn't mean anything. Her indifference hit me harder than any confession ever could. I didn't trust myself to speak. I simply reached out, took the phone, and turned toward the stairs. "Wait. Where are Eliza and Brandon?" she asked suddenly, scanning the empty house. "They're with my mom," I said without turning. "Figured it was best they didn't see you come back like this." Her mouth opened as if to protest, but she caught herself and rolled her eyes instead. "Seriously, Travis? You're being dramatic. They wouldn't have even noticed." I didn't reply. I just kept walking. Upstairs, I clenched my jaw until my teeth hurt. In the quiet of our bedroom, I plugged her phone into my laptop and began copying the files. My hands trembled. Some small, desperate part of me still hoped it was all a bluff. But the moment the first video started loading, I knew it wasn't. Every clip was a blow to the chest. The way she laughed, the way she touched him, the casual dismissal of everything we'd built. It was all there, right in front of me. Every second tore another thread from the fabric of our life together. By the last video, I felt completely hollow. This wasn't just betrayal. It was contempt. A mockery of our marriage, our promises, and the family we had built. And yet, in that emptiness, something settled. A sense of clarity. There was no going back. I saved every file to a secure drive, triple-checked everything, then pulled myself together and went downstairs. I handed the phone back to her. She was lounging on the couch, scrolling through something, and took it from me with a smug smile, clearly mistaking my silence for surrender. "I hope it was worth it," I said, voice low and steady. Her smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You'll understand soon enough," I replied, turning away before she could say another word. I walked into the kitchen, poured another drink, and sat down at the table. My eyes locked on the wall ahead, already picturing the next steps. I knew exactly what I had to do. Tomorrow, I'd contact a lawyer. And I did. By the end of the week, I had consulted an attorney, mapped out my legal strategy, and filed the divorce papers. The footage Lena had so flippantly handed me became a powerful tool, one that gave me the leverage I needed for full custody and a clean financial break. But Lena, in true fashion, still didn't get it. "You're blowing this way out of proportion," she scoffed when I served her the papers. "This is just a heat-of-the-moment thing." But it wasn't impulsive. It was the outcome of every careless decision she'd made. And for once, she was going to deal with the consequences. "You're just being emotional." "No, Lena," I said, my tone steady, firm. "This is what it looks like when I've finally had enough." The kids were already staying at my mother's, so I packed a few necessities and joined them. I needed out, away from Lena, away from the mess. My mom's place became the only safe harbor, a quiet space where the kids and I could finally breathe. In the days that followed, it became painfully clear. Lena wasn't ready to face the fallout of her choices. Her mask of confidence began to crumble. The phone calls started, odd hours, trembling voice, pleading with me to give her another chance. Then one evening, she showed up at my mother's front porch, desperate to see our children. "Travis, I didn't mean for this to happen," she cried, her face soaked with tears. "I thought I was fixing things, not breaking them." "You shattered everything the moment you walked out," I told her, blocking the entrance. "You need to leave." The divorce process was just as draining as I had imagined, but everything shifted once the video evidence came to light. Lena's lawyer tried to paint the swinger party as a mutual agreement, something consensual between the two of us, but my attorney dismantled that lie in minutes. The judge didn't hesitate. Custody of Eliza and Brandon was awarded to me. Lena left with far less than she'd expected. I moved into a small apartment, not much, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter. Lena remained in our old house, but the place had lost all meaning. It wasn't a home anymore, just the hollow shell of something that used to be real. Months later, I ran into Martin, the neighbor who'd hosted that infamous night, while grabbing groceries. He was visibly uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact as we exchanged stiff small talk. Then, after a pause, he finally spoke. "Listen," he began, shifting awkwardly. "I didn't think Lena would take things that far." My eyes narrowed. "What are you trying to say?" He hesitated, then sighed. It wasn't just one guy. There were three. His words hit like a punch to the stomach. "Three?" I asked, barely able to get the word out. He nodded, almost apologetically. "I figured you had a right to know. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. I just walked away, my mind racing. I thought I already understood the extent of her betrayal, but that truth cut deeper than I expected. Looking back, I'm thankful I found out before losing more of my life to something so broken. Starting fresh wasn't simple, but I did it. For me and for the kids. As for Lena, from what I've heard, she's still in the same neighborhood. Only now, everything's different. The friends she once relied on are gone. Her reputation, what little remained, has vanished. Turns out, sleeping with half the party doesn't win you much loyalty. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you